Уважаемые участники, убедительно просим вас занять места в зале пленарных заседаний. ESG Roadshow начнется с минуты на минуту. Убедительно просим вас занять места в зале и отключить звуковые сигналы мобильных устройств. Уважаемые участники Красноярского экономического форума, мы начинаем ESG Roadshow.
Устойчивое развитие – философия современной индустриальной политики, основанной на корпоративной ответственности. Сибирские компании, осуществляющие свою деятельность на территории Енисейской Сибири, придерживаются концепции ESG.
They refer to the concept of ESG. The basis of it is economic growth together with ecological responsibility. Following the concept of ESG, when implementing the investment projects, Siberian companies try to reach the high level of productivity.
Постоянно развивают условия для роста
They are
благополучия,
constantly
сохранения
developing
ценностей
their
здоровья,
production
безопасности и
to
культурного
increase the
многообразия
wealth
общества.
and
Сильной стороной Енисейской
well-being of the
Сибири является
population.
высокий индекс
The strength
развития
of Siberia is the
человеческого
high
капитала,
index
который
of the
поддерживается
human capital,
традициями
which is
образования,
being
науки
supported
и
by
инноваций.
education,
В
science and
2021
innovations.
году в
In
регионе был создан первый
2021, in the
научно-образовательный центр
region, there
мирового
was
уровня
the first
Енисейская Сибирь.
scientific
Он
center
объединяет научные и образовательные организации
in
с компаниями
Siberian Federal
реального сектора
University, and
экономики
it works with the
макрорегиона.
companies of the
Целью
real sector
деятельности
of
центра
economy
является
of
создание
macro-region
конкурентоспособной
Yenisei
зеленой
Siberia.
экономики
The goal
региона,
is to provide the
сохранение и воспроизводство
competitive
легких планеты,
industries
бескрайних
together
таежных
with
территорий.
the
Основные
following the
направления
concept of
деятельности
the lungs
научно-образовательного
of the
центра
planet.
– научно-кадровое обеспечение
R&D
индустрии и развитие
sector
передовых
and the
технологий,
technological
исследование климата,
developments,
разработка систем
the
мониторинга
research
выбросов
of
парниковых
climate,
газов и
monitoring
депонирование
of
углерода природными
emissions,
экосистемами.
and monitoring
Безграничная
of
тайга,
ecosystems,
высокий индекс человеческого
endless
капитала и ресурсного
high
потенциала
index of
Енисейской
human
Сибири
capital of Yenisei
обеспечивают
Siberia.
высокую
That's what
конкурентоспособность
provides the high
экономики и
competitiveness of the
поддерживает высокое
economy
качество
and
жизни. А
supports
приверженность
the high
сибирских
quality of
компаний
life.
принципам
While the
ESG позволяет
Siberian
рассчитывать
companies
на
following
устойчивое и
ESG
непрерывное развитие
can
макрорегиона.
assure the sustainable development of macro region.
Устойчивое развитие и умные зеленые
Sustainable
города Сибири.
development and smart green cities of
Ученый,
Siberia.
физик и экономист, специализирующийся на энергии, водных
Physician
ресурсах,
and
устойчивом
economist who
развитии и
specializes
изменении
on the
климата,
energy, water
Мохан
resources, sustainable
Мунасингхе,
development.
Шри-Ланка.
Mohan Munasinghe, Sri Lanka.
Excellencies, eminent persons, colleagues and friends. I am Professor Mohan Munasinghe. Dobriden, Ayubowan, greetings from Sri Lanka. I am an old friend and admirer of Russia. Я старый друг и поклонник России. Спасибо. Thank you for inviting me. I have enjoyed coming to Russia many times. I'm sorry I cannot visit you in wonderful Krasnoyarsk today because of COVID. It is my privilege to address you virtually at this important international event. The conference theme is most appropriate, Siberia, Economy of the Future. Let me further extend these ideas and explain why the sustainable development of Siberia and Russia is the key to future global sustainability in a post-COVID world. The UN 2030 Agenda and 17 SDG recognize that sustainable development is the major global challenge facing humanity. One practical way forward is to use the Sustainomics transdisciplinary integrated framework I proposed at the 1992 UN Rio Earth Summit, which has been widely used over the past 3 decades. It has 4 basic principles. First, the Sustainable Development Triangle must be balanced and harmonized for sustainability that is economically prosperous, socially inclusive, and environmentally green. For example, analyzing sustainable energy in this framework, energy must be produced at least economic cost, cause minimum environmental pollution and natural resource use, and be socially affordable to the poor. Second, Sustainomics empowers people to act immediately. It is like climbing a mountain, walking uphill step by step to eventually reach the SD peak. It is practical to easily eliminate many unsustainable activities like conserving energy and water or planting trees. Starting with individuals, the movement can expand to group action in communities, companies, cities, countries, and globally. Third, we need to transcend conventional boundaries relating to values, discipline, space, time, and stakeholder viewpoints. It is essential to replace unsustainable values like greed and violence with sound ethical principles. Transdisciplinary analysis, cutting across conventional disciplines, is needed to find innovative solutions to complex problems like sustainable development. Spatial analysis must range from local to the global. Time horizons need to extend from days to centuries. Finally, transcending stakeholder boundaries for cooperation is vital, especially having civil society and business work supportively with government. The largest enterprises in Siberia must be commended for their proposed business framework based on the principles of ESG. Fourth, implementation is essential. Sustainomics provides many practical tools already being applied around the world. However, harmonizing the Sustainable Development Triangle is not easy. It requires each country to find a balanced, inclusive green growth, BIGG, path, consistent with its own stage of development, including 17 SDG, prioritized according to country needs. BIGG is achieved in 2 steps. First, rich nations already exceeding the safe ecological limits must seek green growth that rebalances economy and environment by reducing natural resource use while maintaining good living standards. They could use resource-efficient technologies and lifestyle changes. Meanwhile, emerging nations should harmonize economy and environment via the green growth tunnel that avoids the unsustainable path of rich countries. Second, we must add pro-poor inclusive policies to green growth, fully harmonizing the sustainability triangle, economy, environment, and society. The same BIGG path applies for other resources like energy, food, and water. In Sri Lanka, I chaired the Presidential Expert Committee on Sustainable Sri Lanka 2030 Vision and Strategic Path. We presented our report based on BIGG to the President of Sri Lanka in 2019. I am confident that the distinguished experts present here will help Russia, already a great nation, become a role model and world leader following the BIGG path. Sustainable development of Siberia and Eastern Russia would focus on building sustainable cities that have economically profitable industries, but are also environmentally and socially sound. BIGG will use smart sustainable systems, S3, to support smart sustainable cities that will be more livable and resilient to shocks like COVID and climate change. S3 platforms based on digital technology can facilitate BIGG in many resource, infrastructure, and service sectors. First, smart systems will boost growth using big data and artificial intelligence, etc., to improve delivery of outputs and services at reduced economic cost. Second, smart green systems will create green growth that reduces pollution and natural resource use while minimizing costs. Third, smart sustainable systems will achieve inclusive green growth using advanced technologies that address social issues, thereby harmonizing economy, environment, and society to achieve BIGG. Policies can promote sustainable consumption and production and sustainable behavior change among citizens, companies, and city governments. Another aspect of BIGG that all countries would support is the ongoing transition to a more sustainable, harmonious, equitable, multilateral world order. The joint announcement by Presidents Putin and Xi at the opening of the 2022 Winter Olympics has given great impetus to this trend. Russia and China are fast becoming the Eurasian world island or superconnector that enhances East-West and South-North cooperation. Countries are shifting away from the old unipolar system that relied on hegemonic military power punitive sanctions, and one global currency, the US dollar, towards a rule-based world order with multiple power centers like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, BRICS, etc., that will rely on many global currencies, mutually beneficial trading relationships, and cultural harmony. Movement towards a more sustainable and just planet will be widely welcomed, given unpalatable facts. For example, while COVID ravaged the world in 2020, global armaments expenditures reached almost $2 trillion, which was 12 times more than the aid for poverty. Furthermore, billionaires increased their wealth by over 11%, while billions starved. I'm pleased to support this important event and wish you all success in your deliberations. As decision makers and leading experts, I'm confident that you will help us achieve our greatest hopes by leading the way to balanced, inclusive green growth in Siberia and Russia and Earth eco-civilization of the 21st century. We are all interconnected on one planet. We must unite to save the Earth and ourselves. Let us act now, together. Spasiba, Stuti. Thank you, my friends.
Драйверы и тренды устойчивого развития. Директор департамента аудита АО КПМГ, руководитель красноярского филиала АО КПМГ Виталий Крылов.
Переходим обратно на русский язык. Главное, просыпаемся. Добрый день всем участникам экономического форума. Я представляю компанию КПМГ в России, в Красноярске. Мы достаточно активно консультируем предприятия в сфере составления написания стратегий, политик устойчивого развития, а также мы проводим независимую проверку, так называемую верификацию отчетов мероприятий устойчивого развития. Это отдельная целая область проверки нефинансовых
an opposite sphere, so checking out financial activities. So we have quite a wide practice and we understand how this works in the world, and we try to introduce it to Russia too. So let me start with the risks.
Говоря об устойчивом
Speaking about sustainable development,
два фактора стоит
so there are
выделять.
actually
Это
two
риски, которые нужно
factors
отрисовывать,
we
для чего
should
вообще эти
see. So
мероприятия
these are
необходимы,
risks,
и
and
выгоды,
so why
которые
do we
можно
need,
получить.
and profits
Говоря о
that we can
рисках,
get when we
в
speak about
рамках
the risks.
Всемирного экономического форума регулярно проводится исследование мнения бизнес-сообщества и государственных органов о том, какие риски наиболее актуальны глобально для хозяйственной деятельности. И если сравнить риски, которые выделяли в 2010 году, 10 лет назад, и сейчас, в 2022 году, то картинка выглядит примерно следующим образом. Есть на экране. В 2010 году из топ-5 наиболее актуальных глобальных рисков 4 относились исключительно к экономике, а именно основной риск был — это возможность обвала цен на активы, это всплеск цен на нефть, скачок, это фискальный кризис и деглобализация. Это выделяли, замечу, 10 лет назад. И лишь один риск относился к социальной сфере в тот момент. И выделялся как хронические заболевания, то есть некий healthcare населением. 2022 год, с начала года аналогичное исследование было проведено, и картинка поменялась кардинальным образом. Из 10 основных рисков глобального хозяйства выделялись 5 из 10 относились исключительно к экологии. Это все, что касается климата, это угрозы техногенных катастроф, кризисы ресурсов природных и так далее. То есть зеленым цветом это только экология. 3 из 10 это социальная сфера, в том числе это инфекционные заболевания, это бедность, разрушение общих связей социальных. И лишь 2 из 10 рисков относились к экономике и политике. Экономика — это долгосрочно. Если ориентироваться, то сейчас нужно, конечно, признать, что повестка устойчивого развития So we must confess that the sustainable development is better seen from the Western countries' practices, and actually, so the financial situation and influenced by the sustainable development global too. And as for the profits, so these are attracting international capital. So this is the profit. So now I'm not talking about attracting West capital. So it seems that we have to turn to another side, to Asia, to the East. And the open question is how investors from Asia will consider this agenda of sustainable development and how it will be included in their priorities. The same with bank loading. Again, trend from West, so that banks, they set their own rankings, lists, green lists, non-green lists, and it allows companies on these more advantageous conditions to finance. Now, so we are now closed. So, and the question about our central bank, about banks, how do they cope with this? So, and we hope that these regulatory measures would be worked out, especially with loaning, and they will have some measurements, and we see what events of sustainable development would be the priorities, would be the advantage for the privileged financing. So we heard a lot, so that the interests are the highest one, but maybe the privileged financing still will exist, but who would be the strategic enterprises and is ESG, so will actually help to define such things. And the second big one for the advantages of the companies from the realizing the projects of sustainable development, these are trade markets, markets of goods from the wholesales, and well, pessimistic one at the moment. So what will customers and consumers choose? So because we're talking about the networks of transportation, so and the question about Asian markets, how do they consider their counterparts in terms of following some rules of business making? Again, so expectations, so they will do that. So, but we're actually now talking about short-term things, but in long-term, any projects, any measures, any efforts in ESG, so would be the advantage for the transportation chains. So, well, as for the consumers, so everything is quite pessimistic. How ready are the Russian consumers in terms of quality and price? How these ESG can actually turn them to the quality. So, but actually now, when choosing between quality and price, the consumers will choose price. Well, concluding. So what I've said, now we see in Russia that ESG agenda is actually demands risks by social and ecological risks. By this, we will attract regulators, enterprises, companies. So ESG, sustainable development, can't be called the driver for the sustainable development. For now, it's more like the necessity than the opportunity to actually defeat others. So this is all. So, and actually I'm really interested in other speakers who will talk about the project they now implement and how they are focused on mitigation risks, or they want to get some advantages before their competitors. Thank you.
ESG-повестка НОТС мирового уровня Енисейская Сибирь. Директор проектного офиса НОТС Енисейская Сибирь Сергей Верховец.
Добрый день, дорогие коллеги. Позвольте
Good afternoon,
приветствовать
dear
вас
colleagues. I
на
would
нашем
like to
мероприятии
welcome you
Красноярском
here
экономическом
within
форуме
our Krasnoyarsk Economic
и
Forum.
представить
And I would
несколько
like to
аспектов, связанных
introduce
как
several
раз с
aspects
молодежью, с
connected with the
научно-образовательным
youth,
центром. Мы
with
понимаем,
the
что
scientific
устойчивое развитие в
educational
настоящий момент
center.
реализуется по широкому
And
спектру
at the
направлений,
current
помимо
moment,
основного,
we do understand that there are several trends except for the main production activity of the enterprises. And the enterprise should be open, business should be open, and the request for that is quite high now.
ESG-повестка в настоящий момент стала не только элементом маркетинговой стратегии, но также инструментом работы на рынках
Concept that's not only a
капитала,
marketing tool, but that is a tool to work on the capital market. But analyzing different elements, we do understand that ESG agenda is urgent for educational institutions as well. When assessing the risks, we outline several technological issues such as quite outdated production technologies, new challenges of digitalization, but the main for us is the political challenges. So these are economic sanctions, this is the environmental regulating, and we do need several standards to follow. And of course, for educational institutions, what is important, that is public challenges. So for example, that is a request for a new quality of life and some of this. And to solve these particular issues, the governor of Krasnoyarsk region, the heads of Republic of Caucasia and Tiva, they decided to construct a research and development center in Yenisei, Siberia, and to ask for support the mission of the research and development center in Yenisei, Siberia, that is improving the quality of life based on the technological transformation, taking into account the trends which we are currently following, and which we can see this is decarbonization of economy that is letting the energy consumption and increasing the energy efficiency. Considering the task of the center, first of all, this is the technological support of the project, that is the staff support, and following the targets of the sustainable development, following the strategies of the Russian Federation in 4 key directions. These are, first of all, key advanced technological initiatives. This is environment, this is new education and science for development. We have Krasnoyarsk aluminium plant, Rusal, Nornickel, among the fragments of our project. Police information, Sputnik system of Reshetnev, and some other. On the whole, we have about 28 participants of the center, including the leading universities of macro region and of some Moscow enterprises and universities. For example, Research and Development Institute named after Israel, the Institute of Geography of the Russian Academy of Science, the Institute of Industry. So the project office of the Research and Development Center is based in the Siberian Federal University, and the functions of it are being borne by the KIP Yenisei Siberia. I should say that this center is not a legal entity. This is not a legal foundation. This is a communication platform for cooperation of business, science, education on some particular projects which are given within one agenda. Of course, in terms of this program, we have lots of projects, and a lot is being paid of attention to ESG, including saving the usual way of life of the peoples of North. This is monitoring and supervising the ecosystem with the
Участники научно-образовательного центра в своем диалоге в настоящий момент активно актуализируют образовательные программы, выстраиванием сквозных образовательных программ, начиная от школы, заканчивая докторантурой, сетевых образовательных программ, поддержкой индивидуальной образовательной траектории как студентов, так и коллег, возраста. Наиболее, наверное, сейчас актуальным, помимо геополитических аспектов, было подготовка планов
today,
по
that
адаптации
is
изменениям климата. Мы понимаем,
preparation of the plans
что
for
факторы и последствия
climate change. We
климатических
do understand
изменений
that the factors and
существенно изменяют сейчас
consequences of the
инфраструктуру
climate
и
change, they
производство
significantly
в Сибири. Ну
change
и,
the
конечно же,
structure of production in
университеты и
Siberia. And of
научно-исследовательские
course,
институты принимают
universities and
активное
research
участие в
and
подготовке и
development centers, they take
разработке
part
материалов
in the
нефинансовой
preparation
отчетности
of the materials
предприятий,
and
партнеров,
financial reports of the
подготовки отчетов
partners, our
ну,
enterprises who are being our partners
В свою
on
очередь, конечно
ESG
же, именно
reporting.
молодежь находится в эпицентре ESG-повестки в последнее время.
The
И здесь
main
хотелось бы
target, the
остановиться
main
отдельно на роли
core of
университетов, в
ESG
частности,
agenda,
на
and I
примере
would like to
Сибирского федерального
separately speak
университета,
about the universities.
который в
First of all,
свою
about
очередь
Siberia
проводит
Federal
широкую
University, who
образовательную
in their turn
политику в
have
отношении
quite
и
a
лекторий для
wide
широкого
educational
спектра
policy
слоев населения.
for
Это и
different
научно-просветительские
kinds of
экспедиции,
population.
такие
So
как
these are
Енисейский
different
меридиан
expeditions,
на
for
север.
example, like
Это
Yenisei
открытые
Meridian to
онлайн-курсы.
the
Мы
north. We
принимаем
also
активное
have
участие в
the
разработке
open online courses.
низкоуглеродных технологий
We
и
do take part in the
имплементации
development of
их непосредственно
the
производстве,
low
в том
carbon
числе
technologies
участвуем в
and
реализации национального
implementation
проекта
of the
«Экология»,
national
части федеральных
project
проектов
Ecology,
«Чистый воздух»,
considering the
переработка
federal
мусора, сохранение
projects
лесов.
clean
Ну и помимо
air,
внешних
waste
аспектов,
recycling
Сибирский
and
федеральный
preserving
университет
the
активно
forest.
проводит и внутреннюю
Siberian Federal University
политику
is
через такие
actively
проекты, как
implementing the
мониторинг
role
и
in the
повышение
ESG
углеродопоглотительной
agenda,
способности,
like
а самое главное,
monitoring
комфортность зеленых
the
насаждений
carbon
на территории
footprint
кампуса
within the
непосредственно
campus
университета.
and following
Это
the
и
tree growing within the
работа
campus territory.
по продвижению зеленых
This is the
закупок.
work
Конечно же,
on
в рамках
promoting
существующего
the green
законодательства, но у нас
purchases
есть
in
возможность,
terms
соответственно,
of the
выбора
law we have,
оборудования
and we
с
follow, but
наименьшим
anyway we
энергопотреблением,
have
отказа от пластиков,
choice
перехода на
of
возобновляемые
the equipment with lower
материалы.
level of
Это проекты
emissions
по сбору
and coming to
макулатуры,
the
новые продукты,
renewable
инновационные продукты
resources.
питания с
And
низким
here we
углеродным
speak
следом. И,
about
соответственно, самое
trees and
главное,
paper.
вкусные. Вы здесь можете
And,
попробовать у нас недалеко в
And
институте
you can try,
гастрономии.
for example,
И, конечно
the
же,
food
еще
which
ряд
we
аспектов, таких как и
produce and which we
оптимизация
cook in our
логистики, переход на
School of
электротранспорт,
Gastronomy.
строительство, даже в том числе электрозаправочных
And
подстанций
speaking about projects,
автотранспорта. И
we also
следует
deal
еще
with the
отметить, что
construction of different
вообще, в
types, for
принципе,
example,
широкий спектр, включая
fuel
и
stations.
спортивную инфраструктуру, на ней уже
And here we speak also
остановимся,
about
социальную
the
инфраструктуру по
sport
возможности
infrastructure,
самореализации.
social
Это все
infrastructure.
отражено в
That's
таком понятии,
all
как
of it
третья
is
миссия
reflected
университета,
in the
предложенная Виктором
concept of the
Садовичем,
third mission of the
ректором Московского
university,
государственного
which
университета,
was
которая
offered by
подразумевает под
Victor
собой
Sadovich
вклад университета
of
в
the Moscow
социально-экономическое
Technical
развитие
University,
регионов,
which
реализация
implies the input
инициатив,
into the
общественных, социальных
social
инициатив.
and
Ну а для нас, конечно
other
же, это еще и
initiatives
учет
and development of the
поколенческих трендов,
universities.
когда
But
особенно молодое
here we
поколение
also speak
ориентируется на
about
открытость
generation
деятельности
trends.
предприятий,
When we speak
организаций,
about young
собственную
population, they are
возможность
aiming the
самореализации, именно
development of the
индивидуальной возможности
enterprises and
самореализации.
different opportunities for the self-development.
Ну и ряд других аспектов, да, связанных
And we're also
с молодым
aiming at some
поколением.
other
Но для нас
aspects connected with young generation. But
показатели,
for us,
ESG-повестка, это
ESG agenda,
помимо привлекательности для
except for
абитуриентов или для наших
attractiveness for
партнеров, это
the
поиск наших коллег, партнеров со стороны бизнеса,
so this is
партнеров
also
из
a
других
search for
организаций.
the colleagues, for the
Мы, в свою
business
очередь,
partners
конечно
from
же,
other enterprises.
надеемся
We, in
на
our turn,
дополнительные ресурсы
hope
в рамках,
for the
конечно,
additional
реализации
resources to
ESG-повестки, как
get when
организационных, так и
implementing
финансовых.
ESG
И мы, в свою
agenda,
очередь, сейчас
speaking about
разрабатываем предложения
organizational
по
and
ESG
financial
рейтингу
ones.
университетов
So for now, we are
России с
speaking about
указанием тех или
developing
иных
ESG
мероприятий.
rating
Мы
of
будем надеяться, что оно
universities,
будет указано
where
не только
different
в рамках
events will be stated and
кампании
measures,
по
and they,
набору
we
студентов,
hope,
но
will be
также и при
given
распределении
not only in
финансирования в рамках
enrollee
высшей школы.
campaigns,
Но сам
but
по себе
it will be
научно-образовательный
taken
центр
into
Енисейская
account
Сибирь, конечно же, призван
when financing universities.
скоординировать
But
и
itself, the research
помочь
and
в обмене
educational
опытом, в
center
обмене лучшими
Yenisei
практиками среди
Siberia,
предприятий
it should
партнеров, в
help
том
to
числе ESG-практиками.
cooperate
И,
and
напоминаю, мы
exchange
сегодня
best
еще увидим,
practices,
наши
including
партнеры
ESG
имеют
practices.
яркие
And today you will see the projects
материалы
of
по
our
нефинансовой
partners,
отчетности, яркие
because
отчеты по
our
ESG
partners, they do
политики
have
собственной. И
really
хотелось бы,
good
предлагаем
examples of ESG
представить их
agenda.
на едином информационном
And
ресурсе, что позволит, соответственно, повысить
let's
их
have this
и
material,
видимость,
this reports and presentation on
доступность для
one
студентов,
information
доступность для
resource
общественности.
to
Также, конечно же, студенты, преподаватели принимают активное участие в разработке тех или иных моментов из отчетности, соответственно, материалов финансовой отчетности наших предприятий. Это, например, оценка биоразнообразия и ряд других проектов. Но считаю, что участие и студентов, и преподавателей на всем пути подготовки и политики, и отчетность, финансовой отчетности послужило бы хорошим примером, хорошим материалом для образовательных программ и, соответственно, прохождения практики. Предлагаем использовать студентов вот на всем спектре подготовки. Но со своей стороны предлагаю рассматривать научно-образовательный центр Енисейской Сибири не только как первый тематический, но и также как точку обмена опытом по ESG-практикам и разработки научно-технической политики, повестки региона и локализации ее здесь.
Scientific and technological agenda and implemented it here. Thank you for your attention.
Серная программа – ключевой проект экологической стратегии Норильского никеля. Старший вице-президент по устойчивому развитию ПАО ГМК «Норильский никель» Андрей Бугров на связи онлайн.
Уважаемые коллеги, дорогие друзья, я рад приветствовать вас на ESG Roadshow Красноярского экономического форума. Казалось бы, название нашего форума в первую очередь предполагает обсуждение вопросов экономической эффективности проектов и производств. Однако в современном обществе сформирован запрос на такие ценности, как качество жизни, и напрямую связанное с ним качество окружающей среды. Сегодня показатель качества жизни нужно рассматривать в виде основного критерия экономического развития общества. Эти ценности невозможно уравновесить, положив на другую чашу весов производственные достижения. В портфеле Норильского никеля много крупномасштабных и даже уникальных проектов в области ESG. За последние 2 года мы разработали и внедрили корпоративную управленческую модель в этой сфере. Значительное внимание уделяется социальной составляющей ESG. Норникель возглавляет рейтинги лучших работодателей среди компаний металлургической отрасли России. Социальные обязательства Норникеля охватывают не только сотрудников, но и регионы присутствия компании в Норильске, Мурманске, Печенгском районе действует специальное агентство развития, а также благотворительные программы, которые стимулируют социально-экономическое развитие регионов. Строятся корпоративные медицинские центры. С года в год растет корпоративное волонтерское движение. Норникель развернул масштабный комплексный план поддержки коренных народов на Таймыре и Кольском полуострове. Особое внимание компания уделяет вопросам охраны окружающей среды. В прошлом году Совет директоров никеля одобрил стратегию в области охраны окружающей среды и климата и до 2030 года направит на ее реализацию более $6 миллиардов США. С этого года комплексная программа реализуется на всех предприятиях Норникеля и направлена на существенное улучшение экологических показателей компании. При этом она четко ориентирована на получение измеримых и достижимых результатов. Сегодня мы с моим коллегой Александром Леоновым хотели бы представить флагманский экологический проект Норникеля «Серную программу», крупнейшее экологическое мероприятие в федеральном проекте «Чистый воздух». Цель программы через несколько лет вывести Норильск как минимум из десятки самых грязных городов России и сделать его комфортным городом с высоким качеством жизни. Ощутимые и эффекты от реализации программы уже можно наблюдать на Кольском полуострове. В конце 2020 года мы вывели из эксплуатации устаревший плавильный цех в приграничном с Норвегией поселке Никель. Наши норвежские соседи даже написали, что Норникель сделал им подарок на Рождество, поскольку трансграничные выбросы были сведены к нулю. И в 2021 году скандинавские ученые провели множество замеров и констатируют, что негативное воздействие прекратилось, и природная среда восстанавливается. Положительные эффекты мы наблюдаем и в Норильском промышленном районе. После остановки никелевого завода в 2016 году
2016 Norilsk plant, which actually led to the sulfur dioxide emissions lessened more than 30%, according to Rospotrебnadzor. So we had less disease in the city among populations, like 40% less diseases connected with lungs, with immunity, and we hope that the second stage of sulfur program will drive the health of population of Norilsk. So online monitoring will supervise these projects. Now it works in demo version, so there are 16 stations, and to launch this monitoring system we plan in summer. So I want to finish my speech. I want to say hello to everyone, and let me give the floor to the Alexander Leonov, so he will speak more detailedly about this program. So thank you, Andrei, for such a detailed introduction. And so let's start straight away. Presentations. Andrei said that in 2021 of June, so we approved the complex strategy in terms of climate and ecology change. It covers directions in changing the climate for the eternal frost soils and reducing the green gas emissions. So water resources, reconciliation of soil, and preserving the biodiversity. In these three divisions in our program, so we plan to implement more than 300 projects and 400 billion rubles. So for Norilsk division, so the key direction of the strategies are the maximum of recycling and use of waste, recultivation, and restoring of soils. And in 2021, so 1 million of square kilometers were cleaned, so with the cost of 300 billion rubles. And in 2022, so it will be twice. So the emission of carbon dioxide, so wastewater cleaning, foundation repairment, and others. The program Ecology and the Changing of Climate in Norilsk, it has more than 100 events in 8 directions. We can see on the slide the preliminary cost is about 219 billion rubles, and actually 16 of these events were implemented in 2021. As part of the control and monitoring, so we have a whole system of monitoring and management. From the main office, we appointed the curators and managers of this program and expert group. So the head of the Norilsk division program, so we have a department for the implementation of sustainable development, so we approved the curators, and the supervision of these actions is continuous. On the slide, you can see the dashboard, so which works in demo version. So the format of monthly reports, you can see it on the slide. So we will monitor the deadlines for the budget, spending, and other indexes for the management of the program, so to take measures to improve, not to break the deadlines. The forming of such systems allows our companies that we will do what we promised. And as we said several times before, one of the main parts of the strategy is the sulfur program of Nornickel, so which includes the stages on the Norilsky and Kolsky divisions. So Andrei said about the closing of some plants, and is actually now is implemented on the 2 metallurgic plants. It's an Nadizinsky metallurgic plant, and it will be finished in 2030. And the whole cost cost of implementing the sulfur program is more than 300 billion rubles. Today, the status of this program in the Norilsk metallurgic plant, all preparational works are finished. From 2020, so we have the construction works of the main units of plaster storage and necessary infrastructure. As for the concrete frameworks are finished for 65, the assembling 25%, and the shipment of the necessary equipment is finished up to 24%, and the people working there is more than 2,000 people, and the work is going 24/7. So we spent 32 billion rubles, and the whole investments here is more than 100 billion rubles. And on the plant, so we are recruiting the personnel, so which we need after the construction is finished. So please, let's see the video.
Для достижения показателей улавливания серы на уровне лучших мировых практик мы реализуем комплексную серную программу 2.0. Запуск установок по улавливанию и утилизации диоксида серы позволит снизить выбросы вредных соединений в атмосферу Норильского промышленного района примерно в 10 раз. Основные объекты серной программы строятся на Медном заводе и Надеждинском металлургическом заводе. На Медном заводе в 2021 году ведутся подготовительные работы. Модернизируются переделочистки газов от пыли, выполняется монтаж оборудования, идет разработка проектной документации. Масштабная стройка на Надеждинском металлургическом заводе стартовала в 2020 году с подготовки площадки под комплекс новых технологических линий, чтобы фундаменты для будущих цехов и промышленного оборудования были надежными и долговечными, строители снимали грунт до скального основания. 2021 год — активная фаза строительства. Единовременно возводятся 15 объектов серной программы, включая участок производства серной кислоты, склад серной кислоты, здание приема и дробления известняка, здание приготовления известнякового молока и здание отделения нейтрализации серной кислоты. Для приема и долгосрочного хранения нейтрального продукта гипсовый пульп обустраивается гипсохранилище. Работы на объектах идут в режиме 24/7. Строители закрывают контуры зданий, ведут монтаж оборудования, металлоконструкций и инженерных систем в новых заводских корпусах. Серная программа — самый важный проект компании из тех, которые мы реализуем на сегодняшний день. Это улучшение состояния окружающей среды, повышение уровня жизни людей и репутации Норникель. На пути в зеленое будущее.
ESG трансформация Русала.
ESG transformation of Rusal. Rusal makes a new social landscape.
Честность, открытость и
Honesty,
поддержка, черты,
openness,
которые
and
так ценятся
support.
в
These are the
современном
features
мире.
which are really valued in the modern world. In the modern world, where the strength,
важны действия.
that's where actions are really important.
Именно этот принцип лег в основу
This particular
философии
principle
компании.
is the
Rusal
basis of the
создает
philosophy
новый
of the
социальный
company.
ландшафт.
Rusal makes the new social landscape.
Заботится о жителях каждого населенного
Rusal
пункта,
takes
с
care
которым
of the
связан.
residents
Для
of
комфортной
every
жизни создаются
city which
новые
it is connected
общественные и
with.
культурные
We
места.
are creating the new social and cultural venues.
Объекты инфраструктуры, парки,
Considering the
скверы,
objects of the
спортивные
infrastructure,
комплексы, приюты
parks,
для собак.
sport complexes. All of
Активно
that
ведется
is
ремонт и
being
модернизация школ.
made. We are actively renovating the schools, and further we are going to construct the new residential areas, Rusal quarters. We are constantly showing our interest in the social life. We are actively supporting young talents, veterans. We are forming the comfort space for the future life, where we have jobs, where we have good education, good medicine, and good culture, where we have many new young talents and dreams are being made true. That's important to support everyone. During the pandemic in Siberia and Ural, Rusal constructed several complexes for COVID-19 struggle. Rusal does understand the demands of the regions and the needs of the population of Siberian people due to the open communication, because cooperation and intercommunication, that is the foundation for internal opportunities. Rusal is for people.
Вице-президент по региональной
Vice
политике и
President for the
взаимодействию с органами
regional
власти и
policy and
управления объединенной
intercommunication
компании «Русал»
with
Елена
authorities of
Безденежных.
Rusal company, Елена Безденежных.
Добрый день, коллеги.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues, dear friends.
Я не буду
You
вас
know,
пугать небольшими
I'm not
цифрами
going to threaten you with high numbers of contracted or accrued money. I'm not going to speak about the plans in the figures.
В известном произведении цифры,
As it was noted in a famous work, we don't state any figures for now.
Поговорим, наверное, о том, что заменяет
Let's speak
людям
about the
страх.
things that can
коллега из
change
КПМГ
fear
сегодня
in the
рассказывал о
hearts
тех
of
двух
people. So
драйверах,
our
которые,
colleague from KMPG
наверное,
today
каждому
was saying
движению
about these two
присущи.
drivers, which are
Для человека
usually
это страх, и
features
это
for
жажда наживы,
people. This is fear, first of all, and this is greed.
Но в данном контексте сегодняшнем,
But in the
наверное,
context
страх,
of
который
today,
обуял
fear
сейчас всю
that
экономику,
people
надо
feel
вытеснить.
the fear of economy should be replaced with something. And we're always thinking, how can we replace it? And we are going to replace it with the things which Rusal company has always been implementing. We're going to replace it with hope, with faith and love. But the love which is able to characterize our relations to our people, people working within our company, this is inter-reliability and inter-responsibility between the employees of the company. All these features characterizing the new direction, all these three letters, ESG, of every company worldwide, they start with the word environment. And of course, environment, that is important. Environment is of course, significant for everybody, for children living in our space. But what's more important, that is attitude to people. We've been speaking a lot within our company about ecology and environment. We have done a lot for that, and we are going to move on with that. We have done a lot for the corporate governance, and for about 15-20 years we've been integrating with the international society. And me as a lawyer, that was one of the key issues of our company, the corporate governance. But for now, the third letter here, social aspect. As all of you are working in big companies, you know that you have human resources and you have some particular programs of support, and I'm sure that you are going to move on supporting your employees. All of us are going to count money and count human resources. But this is not just human resources, this is human capital. And how much of that human capital we have accumulated by today? That's how much we are going to get as a result. During these 2 years of pandemic, we could understand if we were working effectively previously with our staff. But now we would understand how our promises influence people, And if people really believe us, and if they really believe that we are doing something for them.
Компании «Русал» очень важно не просто экология и корпоративка.
And now for Rusal, that is not just environment and corporate governance, which is important, but what's more topical for today is, of course, human resources. Social aspect would be the most important. Considering our plans, the quality of life beyond Rusal, that's what would determine our trend for the coming years. Why beyond Rusal? Because more than 60,000 people in hundreds of cities within our country are the points of our interest, because one employee of EN Plus is responsible for several people living with them and not working within our company, but they also have their right for their comfort environment, for their comfort living and comfort future. Because many people for today and previously as well, they have invested in the future, in the opportunities, and they have a right to get these dividends for this investment. What do I mean here? For example,
было бы
so, for example, where we start working with some particular city, for example, Taishet, and we start patronizing these cities. You know, these small cities after perestroika period, they were really in a bad state. These are small towns, and the residents of these cities, they have their own Siberian mentality, and that's what we take into account when we start working with these cities. We do ask for preparing a master plan for the development of the cities, but before we ask the citizens what they wish to get. And we attract designers and architects who are able to start constructing cities from zero level. You know, when we had 100 cities, towns around the country, we have made a research, a study of the cities. What we understood? We understood that in Siberia we have another way of life, another mentality. Siberians, opposite to the central region of Russia, are really thinking about the old traditions, but they do not get stick to it. They can easily get some innovations to their traditional way of life. They quite easily agree for reconstruction if they can see that these processes would lead to the better future. They're quite sensitive and perceptive to everything new, and that's what we can see when constructing medical centers. For more than 16 years, we have had the Center for the Social Support working within the Rusal company. The headquarters of this is situated in Krasnoyarsk, but we have it presented in many cities. The branches are all everywhere in Caucasia and some other regions and cities. But when in 16 years we could see these peculiarities and special features of Siberians and Siberia, we understood that the programs for Siberia should be of a special feature as well. When we started constructing in Siberia, what we understood, for example, what people wish to get except for the medical center. Some would like to have some playground or some park nearby the medical center. In some cities, they would like to have a good rehabilitation center. But in Siberia, it's really important for people to have some kind of attractiveness of this medical center. Maybe that happens due to the fact that the weather, the climate is quite severe. But Siberians, they like attractiveness. They like the nice view of something. And that's what we take into account. And you know, we were always thinking that Siberians should be thinking about heat and warmth and reliability. No, Siberians, they are looking for beauty and attractiveness. But this is only just one feature of Siberians. But considering the social groups of the population, our work with them, Rusal works not only with the employees. First of all, we are aimed, or our work is aimed at with the members of the family who are growing up, so I mean kids. So we showed you schools in our video. We're not showing universities, because universities for people who have defined themselves where they would like to study. And we have a great social program on attracting the staff and the employees, and my colleague, the head of the social block, was speaking about it yesterday. I'm not going to speak about universities, but I'm going to speak about school children and young kids. Why? Because we have an understanding that everything that is formed in an adult is formed before the school years. So this is where we speak about elementary school and when we start working with them. And if you don't get interested a young kid of an elementary school, this kid won't go further and won't go to the company where their parents were working in. This kid would then wish to go somewhere to another country, whichever. But now, due to our work, we understand that these kids wouldn't like to leave their family. They would like to stay in the cities. They would like to work in our company. So we understand we need to construct new schools, not big schools, quite small. We understand that these should be quite a well-equipped school for a kid to be proud of the school and to want living in this city, and so that the kid could have been dreaming about their future work in a company, considering our model of communication with people. In a company Rusal, we have a special form of communication with people. We have youth councils, we have employee councils. So previously these were like labor organizations, but now we have a separate form of communication. That's where we communicate with people on a regular basis. This is not when the CEO of the company comes, reports, and that is all. No, this is an online communication, and everybody communicates, starting from the founder of the company, Oleg Deripaska, who was speaking yesterday. But everybody, even the members of the board of directors, they come to the company, they come to the plant, and they speak to the employees. If I was showing you here the roadmap, you will see that it is outlined with many lines, because we have had many decisions what to do. So we have different projects, starting from Home for Dogs and ending up with some other projects. We had sometimes when we were thinking where to put changing rooms for men, for women, how to do it the most comfortable way. We always say that we would like everything to get better, and we develop, and then we are trying to increase what we have previously done. And we are really proud that for now, employees don't for now demand for changing rooms or whatever, because they have it. But they are speaking about the centers for the martial arts for kids in some cities or villages, just where we were just thinking that this residential area is quite small for such a sports center. No, they have overcome the period of the kids' playground, which we have been constructing for 10 years or whichever. And now the citizens, the employees, they are on a higher level. They have these playgrounds, they have different festivals, events, they have warm bus stops. For example, if we speak about the event of the Day of the Yenisei, we have had it for many years.
We are
really proud that people coming to any kind of a social event, they call themselves the family of Rusal, and they are proud of the fact that their parents and they themselves work in the company, and that's what we should value, and that's what we would feel in the coming 2 years, the way we should value it. And considering our sociology, even big companies, other big companies use our sociology when working out their own standards, because we are open with our social program, and we give it not only to authorities but to the architects, designers, whoever who work with the master plans of the development of different cities in Krasnoyarsk, in Caucasia, and some other cities. Why? Because we are quite active in our company. We would like to improve the quality of life in the cities we work in. And we understand that macro-region Yenisei Siberia can't develop with us, and we won't be able to develop without them. We have more than 100 cities and villages. So Yan plus Rusal, that's where we patronage the cities, and in all those cities and villages, our company is presented like a social one. As an active citizen, number one, the top active citizen of this city or village, because only we can rise the mood of people in these areas. Otherwise, we won't be able to implement any kind of a project, because people won't perceive this project as the one that they need. They would say, yeah, of course, that should have happened. Like in a joke, that they would be saying, so you have got lots of money from us, and now you have for the ecology. No, this is an interreliable process. They work within our company, and they understand what can be improved further and how further develop their attitude to it.
Что касается в направлении движения в направлении людей,
Considering our work with people, we construct together with people and authorities new cities. And new cities, these are new opportunities. When we were speaking about the development of Siberia about 2 weeks ago, and that would be topical, I suppose, once again, in the coming time, we would be thinking about increasing the population in our cities.
Именно вот эту повестку социальную,
and that's where this social agenda would be on the first level, on the first front. We will be speaking about the comfort environment. We will be speaking about roads, about pedestrian crossings, about bridges, about lighting of the bridges and roads, and driveways to some kind of a dance club or whichever. That's what we'll be speaking about. And here in the hall we would have have many of architects and designers, I hope foreign as well, who would consult us not only on constructing a comfort environment, but the environment which would attract others. Our task is not only to save the population, but increase it 2 times by 2030. Thank you a lot. We are going to implement these tasks.
Стратегия устойчивого развития русской платины при реализации инвестиционного проекта в Арктике.
Depth of deposits 20 meters, 2,042 meters. The open pit mine, processing plant, metallurgic plant, capacity of 100 tons per year. So the southern part of the deposit, Norilsk 1. So the depth of the fourth deposit, the resources, they contain content of metals in ore, ampegee and gold.
Заместитель генерального директора по устойчивому развитию группы компаний «Русская Платина» Марина Филиппова.
Good day to everyone, dear colleagues. I would like to thank the previous speakers for the interesting speeches. So Russian Platinum is one of the youngest participants of the economy and industry of the Krasnoyarsk region compared to our partners and colleagues here. So we actually have a huge path in front of us. And actually we are at the beginning of our achievements. Today we would like to present the strategy of sustainable development at Russian Platinum when implementing investment project in the Arctic. As you know, so our assets are in the Norilsk industrial region, the regions which was historically had a very difficult ecological situation, and from our side we see huge responsibility and accountability to improve the current situation. In fact, our ambition is to create one of the greenest and cleanest industries and production in this sphere. So we understand that this is very difficult. We also understand that we had huge opportunities. So because we construct from the scratch, and when we design, we can put into design all the best ecological solutions. On the slide, you can see the main industrial objects of the first stage of the Chernogorsky deposit development. Now, so we have carrier, heating station, processing plant, metallurgical plant, and the wind station. So I will speak about each of these projects. First of all, I would like to say that Russian Platinum actively invests into the construction industry. So actually we made a decision to construct the system of temporary power and to connect to the capacities of heating stations and from the renewable energy from the hydropower plants. And now, so the pollution will be only from the construction equipment plant, and the emissions would be insignificant to the city. The main pollutions of the carriers, which is open pit mine, is actually dust, gases, and the storage of the rocks. So to minimize dust, so we have dust control and dust suspension in the places of mining of the mining pit. To control the influence will be by the mobile laboratory, and when we finish it, so we will use online monitoring. So we conducted the locations with the minimal transportation, so to lessen the dust. On the processing plant, so with the system of using the full cycle waste, so there won't be wastewaters to the bodies of water of the region. So the sewages and technologies of modern cleaning solutions will have the full cycle continuous provision of water to the plant. Is also tailing dam and the rocks, the after tailing dams after their processing, so they would minimize the waste lands. So when we start the factory and the carrier, so we planned to have a metallurgic plant, and also we will use a lot of modern technologies there, and I would like to focus on one aspect. Is preventing air pollutions with control of 98% of the sulfur dioxide. So to reduce our carbon print, so we think that we will have the wind power station. So the wind park will be the biggest wind parks in the Arctic, not only in Russia, but in the world. At the moment, so we have a huge work conducted, so the preparation worked, and actually we have a digital model of this wind park with limits, and the speed is 9 meters per second, the high coefficient of the using capacity, and more than 50%. So it says that this project is not only ecological initiative, but also it can be economically profitable investment project. So with the price of the energy compared with the heating station energy. So depending on the turbines, the more than 140 megawatts, and actually wind parks will be used whole year round together with the traditional generating sources. So now, so we have an annual wind measurement cycle, and we use the wind measurement sonar, so which use high frequency ways to define the parameters of the wind, atmosphere pressure, humidity, temperature, and they actually designed the producer designed it for us to use in the low temperatures. This is an investment project conducted together with international partners, when solar is used according to the international standards. This is the part of the sustainable development plan of the Russian Platina, but we won't stop here, and we will look for innovative and technological solutions to introduce it at our enterprises to minimize the negative impact on the environment. At the moment, so we are considering the hydro storage of our park, and it will allow us to stabilize the energy system and to use more renewable energy for our venues, and to do it with the most secure and cheap means, so because we have a very low environmental temperature. To conclude, I would like to say that in our company we do our best so that our activity would comply with all ecological standards and even more, and we hope that with our help the region and the city would be more attractive for investors and more convenient and comfortable for life, for people, for work, and we hope that we will become one of the most responsible companies in the region. Thank you for your attention.
ESG-опыт Сбера. Председатель Сибирского банка ПАО «Сбербанк» Татьяна Галкина.
Добрый день, дамы и господа.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues.
Я хотела бы поблагодарить и
First of all, I would like to
что
give my thanks to the organizers of the forum that regardless any kind of circumstances we have, we are looking to the future with sustainable development. And here we speak about the future of the planet, which we will give to the future generations. And of course, if we speak about good future, that will definitely come. And you will ask, considering the best practices of the biggest industrial enterprises, what can Sberbank share with Sber Group, and which positions are we taking in ESG agenda and within the sustainable development? Of course, we are not leaders on the carbon emissions, and of course, our impact compared to the industrial giants is quite small, but we finance sustainable share of economy. And today, ESG criteria set the accessibility to financing. So they somehow influence all of our partners, all of our customers. And this agenda will stay for us for long. And all of us should be thinking how we are going to follow these targets of ESG and how we are going to go through this transformation. I will now share the practices of Sber. We started the way that in 2020, when we were taking the strategy of the bank development, we included the strategy of ESG transformation. It includes all the directions. We have the policy, which was worked, and all the aspects, environment, and social and governance, all of them are included. These are the priorities of our policy, which we stick to, and for the last year we had the sustainable practices. I will now show you the figures, and you will understand that we have now been following the international standards for ESG development, and please pay your attention that we were the participants of the climate conference in Glasgow. We were the opinion makers, and we have the expertise center formed based on that. We have this center with the ESG directorate, and we have the experts which are really influential. And during this conference, we were reporting. Besides, you know that we are the participants of AI Alliance, and they also have ESG concepts and ESG policy with this AI Alliance. And of course, we take part in large federal events where all of our employees take part, and our clients mostly know. The most interesting and the most large scale, this is the practices in the corporate business and corporate loaning, what the bank does. First of all, I'd like to say that considering the reporting, there is a separate section which takes into account not only the financial reliability of the company, but ESG metrics as well. For now, we're not speaking about international rating agencies. Is not topical for today, but they have also tried to synchronize ratings for ESG, and all the companies that are mostly public ones, they are interested in getting the high ESG rating, and they're interested in improving the program of ESG transformation for them. In our bank, we have the main document, which we usually give loans according to. This is the loan policy of the bank. It includes ESG policy as well. All the companies we work with, they have got their own ESG metrics. It is taken into account when they are looking for a loan. So the way the company is acting for now, and what is their way further, and are they doing anything for the ESG transformation? That's what we take into account when giving a loan. In 2021, we gave 65 billion rubles of ESG loans. These are loans that, except for the financial indices, include the fulfillment of the financial conditions, which improve the state of the company compared to the current indices. For example, you can see here, we look the way the company is going to work with the emissions, if they're going to use the green energy, if they're improving the energy consumption, if they're going to lessen the climate risks, if they're going to participate in the recycling of materials, and so on and so forth. Considering the social aspects, we are seeing if the company is trying to work with the human flow within the company, if they are looking at the employment rates, at the gender diversity, and so forth, so forth. And as for the governance, we are looking if the companies implement different practices. Do they have ESG international rating, or were they trying to apply for it at least? And do they have the ESG reporting within the company, or some other documents? If the company really cares about the fight with the corruption, do they have transparent supplies, and so on and so forth. Siberian Bank, we gave the loans in the sum of 22 billion rubles, and together with our customers, we included the ESG items in our agreements, and our partners, they are actively being involved in the ESG agenda. We are consulting them on ESG transformation. Green loans, these are the loans which we give to finance the capital costs, operational costs, and the target of these green loans. These are the projects. For example, we have made the first steps. These were the projects of the green energy, production of the energy consumption from the renewable resources. Last year, Sberbank gave 75 billion rubles of such loans, and Siberian Bank gave 53 billion rubles of these loans. So we are going to move on further, and we would see the way the companies decreasing the emissions, and so on and so forth. Our task as a financial institute is to increase the number of the tools to finance green projects, and we have issued green bonds, the task of which is fulfilling
структура зеленых
money
облигаций,
which are aimed at green projects. So the structure of green bond, it is based on the international principles and documents. We have an external verifier which guarantees that participating in buying such green bonds goes with fulfilling the targets of ESG. On the whole, our program. We can say that last year the 10th part of these bonds which were supposed to be issued were issued, and all this money they were sent to the green loans. For example, we financed constructing 8 solar power stations and achieved the results on cutting the emissions up to 80,000 tons of CO2. We had a positive experience, especially with our partners, Polish company on the platform of Sber. We organized the trade with the green certificates. They confirm the energy that it is made from the renewable resources, and it allows to partially compensate the carbon footprint of the company buying it. The advantages of the blockchain platforms are that it unites of the participants of the market and guarantees the reliability of green certificates and provides security for all the parties of the agreement. So we issued 629,000 certificates, and for now it makes about 40% of the generation on the blockchain platform of Sber. As well as, except for Polish company, here we have our other partners, presented our other customers who used this platform. This platform is, of course, one of the marketplace where the tools are going to develop further. That's all about the access to getting financing of the projects and working with our corporate business. We would be grateful for your initiatives, which together with us and with your perspective, and now I'm addressing to big companies, but or any companies on the whole, so your initiatives can be worked out together with the bank, and they can become a step to the future development of the market of financing. And I will briefly speak about our tasks in non-financial sector. So except for the bank, we have the company ecosystems, and they take into account ESG criteria as well. This is packing, this is refusal to use the plastic bags. An interesting project of 2GIS company, which is a subsidiary company of Sberbank. This is a regular checking and registering of the waste collection platforms, more than 22,000 of such in Moscow. Now it is being given in a 2GIS map, and every citizen of Moscow can see where they can bring their waste and where it can be collected. So the citizens take part in the projects when we collect waste, for example, like Clean Moscow. And this experience will be implemented in other cities as well. An interesting experience of Soyuz Film Company. Of course, this is education, this is enlightenment of kids. So we have issued this series with ecological and social social agenda. Please see them in OK resource. Considering our own influence, of course, we have procurement activity. Everything that bank buys, it buys it on a platform according to the procurement policy, which has ESG criteria integrating. As a result, more than 55% of our own payments on procurements are made to the small and medium enterprises who are our counter-agents in the procurement policy. 96% procurements are made according to ESG criteria, and we support the local community, so 95% of our procurement budget, these are the suppliers registered in the Russian Federation. Of course, we have our own waste. First of all, this is plastic. We have 104 million clients, and everybody has a plastic card, and many clients have even several cards. We collect this plastic, we then send it for recycling. And one more waste in our work, this is paper. Since 2018, we have started work on all of that, and it helped us to save 160,000 trees by transferring to the e-documenting. For example, here you can see debit cards, and about 35% of these debit cards are now present in digital channels, and they shouldn't be issued at all. You can leave your card in the phone and not get a plastic item. Last year, 9 million plastic cards were sent for recycling, which means 45 tons. We effectively use the energy in our practice. All of our venues, these are the figures given for Siberian Bank division, so all of them are equipped with a distant systems of operating, which helps us to save energy. We have also moved on with placing energy-efficient LED lamps, so we got the economy, the savings of 230 million rubles. We have set a task for us to consume up to 30% from the renewable resources. We are going to do it the way so that we use our projects for our own green energy consumption and buy green bonds as well. These are our venues of green generation. This is Altai and Abakan, a large-scale project in Altai, up to 90 megawatts per year, and we decreased 15% the energy consumption from the general nets. As for Krasnoyarsk, we have an important experience. The projects on attracting and enlightening the population are really important. So in Krasnoyarsk, in Prospect Krasnoyarsk Robochi 52, we have opened a new office with a new best ecological practices. Please come and see what we have there. And today we are also speaking about education. So this is one of the most important trends of attracting the students of the leading universities. And for the first time in Krasnoyarsk in December, we started this kind of a project together with the Minister of Ecology and Natural Resources of the Krasnoyarsk region. The core of this project is that the students from the leading universities would offer their own projects within the ESG, and the best projects will get grants. I hope that the office of the students will get the support, and we will implement these projects. And besides, we would also teach the students how these projects can be more efficient. For them to be further implemented, I hope they will be implemented, so this will be new ideas, maybe new startups, or just new ideas for the companies to introduce best practices. And of course, our employees, we pay lots of attention to volunteer movement, and more than 8,900 employees are attracted into the volunteer activity. And first of all, these are different projects on the financial literacy and many clients of our bank. First of all, elderly people and young people, they have been trained a lot for these 2 years, and last year we taught about 18,221 people. We grow the trees. One of our employees of Siberia Bank last year was the third one, was a prize winner, and he got the award from Vladimir Putin as one of the employees who made one of the best practices. That was the project Dobrodomik on the support of people during the pandemic with the products to those who might need it. In 2021, 4 Siberian projects out of 16 were the laureates of the contest, and we are proud of that. And our activity Save the Planet. So this is when we collect waste and plant trees. That's what all our team does. Last year we planted about 110,000 trees. So here you can see one of our best practices. So we plant the trees in the parks, the forests, and we do lots of many other things. So please let's unite our efforts and participate with our teams in new social projects. I hope that with common efforts focusing on the future, we will be able to save our planet. Thank you a lot for your attention.
Уважаемые участники,
ESG
Roadshow завершено.
Is finished.
Приглашаем вас принять участие в роудшоу проектов в рамках празднования 400-летия основания города Красноярска, которое начнется через 15 минут в зале пленарных заседаний. Уважаемые участники, роудшоу проектов в рамках празднования 400-летия основания города Красноярска начнется в зале пленарных заседаний через 15 минут в 12 часов ровно.